this is Brittany, and today we will be talking about adaptive learning. The first topic we're going to cover is what is adaptive learning. So adaptive learning is defined as a computer-based or online educational system that modifies the presentation of material in response to student performance. Best-of-breed systems capture fine-grained data and use learning analytics to enable human tailoring of the responses. The association learning management systems provide comprehension, administration, documentation, tracking, progressing, and user management. So in general, adaptive learning is a system that your students can log into and they can start researching or start doing a program, and the program will adapt to their needs. So as teachers, we are responsible for a full cost of students. Adaptive learning is a tool to help us reach all students. It is the technology program meant to help meet the needs of everyone. Adaptive learning uses technology to fill in the gaps of student learning and to create a customizable experience for all students to be successful. Adaptive learning tracks student data to help students learn new skills, fill in the gaps, and extend learning. Think back to the last time you had to reteach a lesson. Adaptive learning uses technology to differentiate instruction for all students. And adaptive learning puts mastery-based learning at the forefront of education. It is a tool that teachers can use to help students be successful in the classroom in all ages. Gone are the days of teaching and moving on. Adaptive learning gives teachers a tool to help all students be successful. Next, we will look at how adaptive learning works. Adaptive learning works by using student errors, gathering data, giving feedback on the assignment, giving students harder or easier problems or assessment based upon their previous performance. So it really is meant to adapt to their performance. A student will log into a program and start working on a specific unit or skill. These can be assigned by teachers or it can be random depending on the program. From there, the program will work with the student. The program will give feedback based upon their answers. It does not just tell you right or wrong, but points you to things that maybe you forgot to add or maybe you need to add more of an explanation here. Depending on the program, support is added in the form of feedback. This can look like videos, paragraphs explaining the problem or assignment, or helpful hints. This one-on-one feedback makes adaptive learning very useful because it gives students real-time feedback on what they are doing and what can direct them to intervention services. The program can also work the other way, where it can give students harder problems if they get all the correct answers. The program is designed to truly scaffold all learning for students. Teachers can use these programs and produce data and graphs and charts on how students are mastering the content. This piece of data can be used to further support students in the classroom. Take, for example, two students doing the exact same problem. Shown by the graph on the screen, each student will start the same problem, but the problem will continue to modify and give feedback based upon the student's performance. The entire program is based upon using student data to modify instruction. The reason this is so powerful is because the program can scaffold in real time to help best support the student. Next, we will look at why use adaptive learning. Teachers are increasingly attempting to reach all of their students, each of whom have distinct needs, with the right learning experience at the right time. As teachers, we are constantly looking for ways to help our students be successful. With the latest trends in 21st century education, moving more towards personalization and differentiation, adaptive learning is a way for teachers to use a program to help with this. At its core, adaptive learning technology is about enabling instructors to help learners drive better learning outcomes through personalization. As teachers, we want programs that help our students be successful, track data, fill in the gaps that we missed, and make our life a little bit easier. Adaptive learning is a tool to help with this because it can tailor a lesson to a particular student and skill set. A good teacher uses data to track all instruction. Adaptive learning programs give teachers readouts on data to help them improve instruction and modify when needed. Adaptive learning gives students real-life feedback. As a teacher, I can only work with one or a few students at a time. program that gives real feedback will help students metacognition and give them ownership of their learning. Next, we will look at the history of adaptive learning and what it is today. Adaptive learning started with cognitive psychology with B.F. Skinner in the 1950s. As technology got better, so did artificial intelligence. With the shift in technology and the ability to build programs, companies began using adaptive learning in corporations. As the world changed, a shift in education was needed to meet the developing needs of the country. The one-size-fits-all was not going to work to keep up with jobs and skill sets. Teachers began to see this change with addition of technology in the classroom, increased in collaboration, flexible seating, and global learning. Instructional practices were put in place to differentiate learning to help students focus on mastery and not just content. We will now look at some examples of adaptive learning. There are a lot of different types of programs that use adaptive learning, and depending on your district, depends on which ones you may have access to. We will be looking at Dreambox, McGraw-Hill's Alex and Pearson's MyLab, MobyMax, and iReady. Dreambox is a K-8 math program in which students play math games and the program tracks their progress. Students start playing right away and the program personalizes learning as the students complete each game. Certain digital curriculum companies are now putting programs online. A lot of them are using adaptive learning measures to help students learn. For learning math skills, McGraw-Hill put out Alex to track student data, and Pearson put out MyLab. While not all digital curriculum is adaptive learning, these two curriculum companies have adaptive learning programs tied to their digital curriculum. MobyMax is another K-8 program that focuses on intervention skills. This program also has built-in adaptive assessments the teacher can use to track student mastery. These can be put out at different times during the year. iReady is an adaptive learning program that uses a diagnostic test to assess K-8 students' math and reading skills. Students can earn tokens by completing assignments, and teachers can assign students diagnostic tests throughout the year to keep assessing them. While there are a lot of adaptive learning programs, most programs present material in an engaging way and require students to achieve mastery before moving on. The program can track the data, and the teacher can see exactly where students are missing. Next, we will focus on how adaptive learning is changing education. Adaptive sequencing is the ability to continuously correct real-time data on a student's performance and use it to automatically change a student's learning experience. Adaptive learning takes learning to a whole new level. The goal is to teach mastery and not just a grade. Think back to the last time a student got a good grade on something, but did not actually master the content. Adaptive learning gives us real life data to work with to see where the student is at, not just a score or grade. With adaptive learning, every activity can be used as a formative or summative assessment to be used to drive meaningful instruction. Adaptive learning is a tool and radically different method of teaching, one that is only possible in the 21st century, harnessing the raw power of computers to help educators in a simple, obvious idea in hindsight, but the implications of this new method is staggering. Adaptive learning gives the teacher and the student control of personalized learning based upon the needs of the student. This is far from the traditional one-size-fits-all mentality. McGraw-Hill Connect Effective Study 2008 results found that after using adaptive learning, students saw a 13-point improvement in pass rates. Exam scores for students increased on an average of 71 to 80.1%. With Connect, an adaptive learning program, 15% more students earned A's and B's from the 50.3% of students to 65.3% of students, and instructors spent 72% less time on administrative tasks and 90% more time on active learning experience. So overall, adaptive learning increased instruction and increased. Next, we will look at the 21st century learning and how adaptive learning ties into that. With the shift in education towards 21st century learning, a shift needed to be made to help with this. 21st education includes collaboration, differentiation, hands-on learning, transparent assessment, the teacher as a facilitator, and reflection. Adaptive learning is a tool that helps create this classroom. Adaptive learning gives students a resource to personalize instruction, teach to mastery, and reflect on their own learning. It gives teachers a touch point to talk with students about their learning. Adaptive learning is a tool to help move our students to become the best that they can be.